So you've been researching Southern Utah. You know Cedar City, you know St. George. Maybe you've even got a tab open on Zillow right now for both cities, trying to figure out which one actually makes sense for your life. Here's what nobody is telling you. If you choose the wrong city, you could be overpaying by tens of thousands of dollars on your home, living in a climate that feels nothing like what you expected, and waking up 6 months from now wondering why you didn't do this comparison before you signed anything. That choice, it's a big one, and most people get it wrong because they're comparing the wrong things. So today, we're fixing that. Cedar City versus St. George, cost of living, real estate, lifestyle, climate, and who each city is actually built for. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly which one fits your life. Let's get into it. Real quick before we dive in, every single week I'm getting calls and texts from people just like you who are working through this exact decision. Buyers relocating from California, Las Vegas, Arizona, even folks right here in Utah looking to make a move. Whether you're trying to buy, sell, invest, or you just want to talk through what makes sense for your situation, I want to help. You can reach me directly at 435-592-0464. And all of my contact info and resources are linked in the description below. There's no pressure, no pitch, just a real conversation. I do this because I love helping people land in the right place. Alright, Cedar City versus St. George. Let's get nerdy with it. First, let's get oriented, because these two cities are not the same, and a lot of people don't realize how different they actually are until they show up in person. Cedar City and St. George are both in southern Utah. They're both surrounded by incredible red rock, national parks, and that wide open sky that keeps pulling people here from everywhere else. But they are about 50 miles apart, and those 50 miles make a world of difference. St. George sits at roughly 2,800 feet elevation. Cedar City is up at 5,800 feet. That alone changes everything. The weather, the landscape, the feel of the air, we'll get into that. St. George and its surrounding towns have a population of around 160,000 people and growing fast. Cedar City sits at around 45,000, smaller, quieter, and still has that small town texture that a lot of people are specifically looking for when they leave a big city. And here's the one that surprises most people. Cedar City is generally 25 to 30% more affordable than St. George in terms of real estate. That's not a small gap, that's a life-changing gap for a lot of buyers. Okay, let's break this down category by category. Let's start where most of you are probably focused first, the homes themselves. In St. George right now, the median home price is running somewhere in the $475,000 to $525,000 range and above, depending on the area. It's a hot market. Inventory has been tight, competition has been real. In Cedar City, the median is hovering around $400,000 to $420,000. And right now, we are sitting at inventory levels that we haven't seen in 10 years. That means more homes, more choices, and more negotiating room for buyers. Think about that. Same region of Utah, same red rock views, same dry, gorgeous landscape, and you could be spending $60,000 to $100,000 less, which in most places is an entire car, a kitchen renovation, or, I don't know, a very, very good vacation fund. Now, let's talk rentals, because not everyone is buying day one. Rents in Cedar City run about 20 to 25% lower than St. George. If you're transitioning from out of state and you want to rent for 6 months to get your bearings before buying, Cedar City gives you significantly more runway to do that. And new construction, Cedar City has a ton of it right now. We're seeing new builds coming in at prices that are truly competitive, with lots of options in the $380,000 to $480,000 range, with builder incentives still on the table. St. George new construction, you're largely looking at $500,000 to $700,000 plus for comparable square footage in most developments. You're getting real market data, current as of 2026. If you want a hyper-local breakdown for a specific budget, reach out and I'll run the numbers for your exact situation. Alright, So the home price gap is real and it's significant. But let's talk about the full cost of living picture, because it goes deeper than just your mortgage. Property taxes. Utah has a relatively low property tax rate across the board, but here's what's important. With a lower purchase price in Cedar City, your annual property tax bill is going to be meaningfully lower than in St. George. Less house cost equals less tax. Simple math, big impact over time. Utilities. Here's one that surprises people. Cedar City sits at a higher elevation and has distinct seasons. Real winters, real summers, but more temperate than you'd expect. You'll use your heating more in winter compared to St. George, but in summer, St. George is a furnace. We're talking about 110-degree days for weeks. That means St. George air conditioning bills in the summer are notably intense. Cedar City summers are hot, but not savage. Your cooling costs will be noticeably lower from June through September. Groceries. Both cities are in Iron County and Washington County, respectively. The day-to-day cost of groceries, gas, and general living is pretty comparable. St. George has more retail development, more restaurants, more shopping options. Cedar City is growing, but is still more limited in retail diversity. For some people, that's a drawback. For others, that simplicity is exactly what they moved for. I want to pause here for a second and say something that numbers can't fully capture. The people I work with who moved to Cedar City from places like California, Las Vegas, a lot of them tell me the cost savings aren't even the best part. It's the breathing room. It's sitting on a porch that actually feels like it's theirs. It's the quiet. It's the fact that Southern Utah is just different. And Cedar City gives you all of that at a price point that doesn't keep you up at night. Let's talk weather, because this is one of the biggest deciding factors I see, and it's one people underestimate until they actually live it. St. George is a desert climate at low elevation. It is warm year-round, which a lot of people love, especially retirees coming from cold states. But when I say warm, I want to be specific. Summers in St. George are brutally hot. We're talking 108, 110, even 112 degrees on summer afternoons. That's not a once-a-year thing. That's July and August in St. George. If you're coming from Phoenix or Las Vegas, you might shrug and say, I can handle that. And you probably can. But if you're coming from Northern California, the Pacific Northwest, or Colorado, that kind of heat changes how you live. It pushes you indoors. It limits your outdoor time for months. Cedar City, at 5,800 feet, runs about 15 degrees cooler than St. George on a summer afternoon. That means a 95-degree day instead of a 110-degree day. That might not sound like a big deal, but it's the difference between spending your summers outside and spending them inside with the AC cranked up. Cedar City does get real winters, snow, cold nights, the occasional winter storm. If that's a deal breaker for you, St. George is probably your city. But if you want 4 actual seasons, outdoor summers you can truly enjoy, and a climate that doesn't feel like a slow roast, Cedar City wins on weather for a lot of buyers. And look, I'm not here to trash St. George. It's a beautiful city. But if you've ever tried to walk to your mailbox in July and felt like you were entering a pizza oven, you'll understand why the elevation matters. Cedar City lets you actually touch grass in July. That's a feature. Okay, beyond the numbers, beyond the climate, let's talk about what it actually feels like to live in each of these places, because this one is personal and it matters just as much as anything else we've talked about. St. George is a city in full growth mode. It's got a national profile now. People know it. It's got a thriving downtown scene, more dining and restaurant options, a growing arts community, Dixie State University, and a ton of energy around development and expansion. If you want urban amenities in a Southern Utah setting, St. George offers more of that. It's also very popular with retirees. That's not a criticism, it's a reality. The warm climate, the access to golf and outdoor recreation, the proximity to Las Vegas, all of that draws a heavily retirement-aged crowd. If that community fits your season of life, that's a genuine draw. Cedar City feels different. It's home to Southern Utah University, which gives it an intellectual, creative energy that a lot of people don't expect from a small town. The Utah Shakespeare Festival, a world-class theater festival, is here. There's a growing art scene, hiking, and outdoor access that rivals anywhere in the West, and a community that still knows its neighbors. Families are a big part of Cedar City's growth story right now. Young professionals moving out of California, Salt Lake, and Las Vegas who want space, safety, a good school environment, and a home they can actually own. Cedar City is delivering all of that. I'll be honest with you. When people call me after they've moved to Cedar City, the thing they tell me the most often isn't about the price they paid or the square footage they got. It's that they feel like they can finally breathe. They're not stuck in traffic, their kids are playing outside, they know their neighbors' names. And for people who've been grinding in a big city for years, that shift is everything. Alright, I want to get really direct here because this is the part most videos skip. They tell you both cities are great and leave you more confused than when you started. I'm not doing that. Here is who each city is built for based on what I see every week working with relocation buyers. St. George is probably your city if you want warm winters and don't mind intense summer heat, want more dining, retail, and urban amenities right now, are retiring and love an active retirement community, are okay paying a premium for a more developed city, are coming from Las Vegas or Arizona and want a similar climate. Cedar City is probably your city if you want the biggest bang for your budget, period, looking for a smaller town community with plenty of opportunities for kids, are leaving California, the Pacific Northwest, or a colder state and want manageable seasons, work remotely and want space, quiet, and outdoor access without the price tag, want to buy in a market that's still growing, not one that's already peaked, want actual summers where you go outside and enjoy it. Neither city is wrong, they're just different answers to different questions, and what matters is knowing which question you're actually asking. Alright, let's bring this home. Cedar City and St. George are both in one of the most spectacular landscapes on earth. Both are growing, both have quality of life that is hard to find in most of America right now. But if your budget is your primary driver, Cedar City gives you more home, more financial breathing room, and a market that still has a real opportunity in 2026. If lifestyle amenities and year-round warmth matter more to you than the price tag, St. George is going to check more boxes. And if you're not sure yet, that's exactly why I make these videos and exactly why I love the conversations I get to have with people working through this decision. Every week, I'm talking with buyers from California, Nevada, Arizona, and all across Utah who are trying to figure out their next move. Some are buying, some are selling first, some are investing, some just want to run the numbers with someone who knows this market. If that's you, reach out. Call or text me at 435-592-0464. All of my contact info and my free Cedar City relocation guide are linked in the description below. There's no pressure, just real help from someone who works in this market every single day. If this video helped you, please give it a like and subscribe. It truly helps more people find this content when they're going through the same decision. And drop a comment below. Are you leaning towards Cedar City or St. George? And where are you moving from? I read every single one. I'm Dylan, and I'll talk to you soon.